Still focused?
You are focused as all hell.
Hey guys, it's the middle of Melbourne and... it's the middle of Melbourne.
Let's just have the conversation. What month is it? It's June.
It's June.
It's freezing.
Yeah, it's
You're
the middle
cold.
of it.
It's miserable.
Yeah. Hey guys, it's the middle of June and here in Melbourne it's cold. Real cold. So you know what I've been thinking? A can of soup wouldn't kill me. But I've checked. We don't have any. So what's the next best thing? We're going to make it in Cinema 4D. So why are we doing this, you ask? Because I've had this cheeky little model up for download on my website and you guys are finally used for it. So let's see how it comes together. Alright, let's get straight into this. Let's dive straight into our 4 views here and we're going to solo out our front view. Click on your Options tab and go down to Configure. Now here we've got a few different tabs and we're going to focus on the back tab, and for this is the image. We want to load in the can image, and this is going to work as our reference to start building up our object. I'll pop a link down below and you can grab this exact image. Now once it loads it in, you can see it gives us the size of the actual image. So we could scale it down, but it's just as easy just to pull out a bit, zoom out, and we'll frame that up nicely. Alright, nice. Now what we need to do is grab ourselves a circle spline. And I'm just going to change its orientation so it's flat not facing us. And now we'll just scale that out. And what I'm aiming here is to reach just the edge of our can. And this is going to form the main shape of our can. Now let's pull that down to where we want it to start at its thickest point. Now it's very important when we're using the loft node that you keep the order of splines in the order that you want them to connect. So for this I'm copying my circle spline that we already have, but I'm just making sure it's below and scaling it down, and this is going to be our base. And I'll just pull that up a little bit, and this is where I want my can to start from. We can see we're going to get a nice little bit of a lip between those two. Now I can grab our original spline, copy that, and I can pull that right to the top of our label, and that's going to be the next thickest point for us. Again, I can copy that spline and pull it up just to the middle of that lip, and now I can just scale it out, and that's going to allow that some rounding at the top there for us. Now if I go back, I can copy that other spline, making sure I put it on top of everything, pull it to the very top of our can, and that's it. Now we've got 5 very simple circles. I'm just going to throw a camera here just in case we need it. I don't know if we will. Now I can pull out, go into our perspective view. If I click on one and hit S, that'll frame it up for us. Pull back. Now we can see with these 5 simple splines, if I grab us the loft, we can now pop those 5 splines into that, and we can see how simply we have created some nice geometry. Look at that, perfect. Super quick, super easy, and that's already a pretty good start for us. I'm just going to zoom in, and what we need a few more details here to really make this sing. So let's copy that top spline. I'm just going to scale it down. I haven't moved it. I'm just scaling it down a bit. And now I'm going to copy that one that we've just scaled down again. But this time I'm just going to pull it down on Y. And we can see by doing that, we've now created this nice little lip just on the inside of the top of the can there. Just as you would imagine it to be. And now we can grab both those circles, and if we scale them, we can create a tighter lip if we like. And I think that looks a bit better. And now making sure that we keep the same order that we've got these circles in, we can just tweak them a bit to get a different shape that we're a bit happier with. We can also add additional circles, just keeping in mind that we're mindful of that hierarchy we've created. So I'm just tweaking here, just getting something that looks a bit nicer. And I think that's a pretty good place to leave that. I think that's a good start. That gives us a nice base there for us to work on. All right, let's label this. We've got ourselves our can base, and I think next thing we're gonna focus our attention on is let's get ourselves a label. Let's get ourselves the Campbell soup label. Let's get ourselves something nice to look at. We're going to toggle into our can base. Let's grab that original spline we started with. We know that's the very bottom point of our thickness. I'm just going to pull it up a little bit just so it doesn't meet the bottom of that can. Copy that, and let's pull that again just so we're not quite meeting the top of our can, just so we can see a bit of that can behind the label. We'll grab both those circles, drop it in another loft as we did before, and that's the start of our label. Let's create a real simple texture, throw that on there. Okay, we're getting some intersecting. There's a couple of ways we can try and solve this. Let's just tidy that up. So that's our label. And what we could do is drop it in a cloth surface. And now if we don't need the subdivisions, but if we increase the thickness, we can see that starts to pop out, but we're getting a bit of weird intersecting at the top there. I think, let's not do that. I think the easiest thing we can do is let's go back to what we started with, grab both those circles, and if we just increase that radius a bit, we can see that's now a little bit thicker than our can, and we won't get that intersecting that we don't want. And there we go, that's looking nicer. Just going to give it an extra one just so we don't get that when we're looking around. We don't get that intersecting. All right, nice. All right, now that we've got this set up, I think it's time we got ourselves a bit of a sexier label to look at. Let's get our Campbell Soup label on there. I'll pop a link down below for where you can get this image reference that I'm using. And just because I know how it's going to apply, let's just need to flip our canvas just so it's mirrored itself, and we'll do that. I think we need to do that vertically as well. All right, now that we've got that, we'll save that out. If we come into that texture that we've already applied to our label, we can toggle in, pull up that image we've got, open it up. We don't need to pull it in, and we haven't quite got it. All right, we're up the right way, but we need to reverse it. We need to read Campbell's, not the other way around. All right, so we can see if we should just have to flip this image that we've already set horizontally. And now I'm just going to save that back out. I'm going to save that out as a second version just in case. And now if we replace that image that we've just set, going back in, pulling up that image into the texture tab, number 2, no, we don't need it in there. And there we go. That is looking good. I'm happy with that. That's nice. That's just going to give us something a bit nicer to look at while we keep working away here. I think the next thing we need to look at is the top of our label. Firstly, I'm just going to give both these lofts a few more subdivisions just so they're a bit nicer. Give us a bit smoother of a surface. All right, it's time to have a look at the top of this can. Typically, they're not just a flat surface. They've got some indentation on them, so that's what we're going to try and achieve here. Now, for that, we just want a perfect spline, half the radius of this circle that we've already set at the topmost point of our can. We can just grab ourselves a disc, drop it as a child of that circle. And if we toggle its position scale of rotation to meet that circle spline, we can now grab its radius. We can copy that into our disc's outer radius. We can see that we've got that disc to perfectly meet the size of that circle. So we can just delete that circle. We don't need that anymore. And if I make that disc editable, I can just grab in a perfect line these 4 edges. I can just grab these 4 edges. Then we can just toggle up to mesh, commands, edge to spline. And now we can see we've got that radius that we needed to get. Now by using that, if I throw that into a lathe nib, drop that as a child, zero out its position, and look at that. We've got another disc, but now we can have a bit of fun with this. So let's toggle into our 4 views. By hitting S with the spline selected, it'll snap it to view. Just gonna turn off that image in our front camera. We won't need that anymore. Just going options, configure. We can see we can just tick off. We can just tick off show picture. Coming back over to my front view, we can zoom out, and just by hitting the lathe nib, we can confirm which way we can see which way it's going to create the loft, and we can see this is our most outest point towards the left of the screen. We don't need any of these middle points, so we can just get rid of these. Let's just delete that middle one. Look at that, perfect. Now I'm going to be using the knife tool here. And we're just going to cut through it 4 times, but we're going to make sure 2 of our cuts are a bit closer together than the others, and we're going to space these out a bit. So there's our first 2 cuts. Just going to move along a bit, and now I'm going to mimic the distance with another 2 cuts through that spline. By doing this, we've now created an extra 4 points. We can see if I turn that off, we've got 4 extra points here. And now we're just going to do that again. We're going to get back up our knife tool, and we're going to create an extra 4 cuts through this spline, but just on the inside of those previous 4 we've set. I'm not being too particular where I'm doing this, we can tidy this up in just a sec. Now once we've got those 4 extra cuts, we can grab our rectangle selection tool and just grab those inside points that we've just created. And once I've got them all, let's pull them down on Y, and these are going to form our ridges in the top of our can. Now let's just tie this up a bit, just pull them over, get a bit of a straighter line between its top cut. And now once we've tidied them up, grab all those points, right click and go chamfer. And if we just pull along, we can see that radius increasing. So just about 1.5 is going to do it for us. And we're just going to get some nice curves in those points that we've just created. Now we saw before that the length of our disc didn't look real nice, so we're just going to increase its subdivisions. If we go back to our perspective view, firstly let's turn on our can base, because you'll notice that we've still got the top there. So let's go into our caps, and we're on our start. We can just say none. We don't need to see anything there because we've just made our own. And now by hitting on that lathe, we can see that we've got a new top, but we've also got some nice ridges in there. And what's nice is if we think that's a bit close and we wanted those ridges to be a bit further out, we can just come in with them all selected and pull that along on Z, and look at that. We've just really easily modified where we want them. We can customize this, so that's quite nice. All right, this is looking good, but you can see we're getting a little bit of artifacting on the top of our can there. It's just bubbling out a bit, and so that doesn't look real nice. So let's just zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. We can fix this really, really easily. We can, on the spline that we did our cuts on, we can just select that, and our intermediate points, if we just subdivide them, look at that looks much nicer. All right, this is looking pretty good. We're almost there. I think last thing we need to do is give ourselves a bit of a ring pull. The old thing that's on top, bust these bad boys open. So let's have a look at how we're going to create one of them. Let's open up a new document here just to make it a bit neater. Now first up, let's grab a new circle spline, copy that, and we're just going to scale it out a bit just so it's we're getting a bit of a ring there. Now with that top spline, I'm going to hit C on it, and that's going to make it editable. And now we can come in here and start modifying it. Now what I want to do is just add in a few extra points at the base there. So we're just going to cut through this circle, just like so. And now if I select my point selection, we've now got these 3 points. I can just pull them down. We can create our new shape that we're going to start working on. Now just grabbing those 2 new points that we got, we can just scale them in. This is starting to take shape. This is starting to look like the what you'd expect to see on the top of those cans. I'm just tweaking here. I'm not getting anything too precise. We're not using an image reference. We're just doing this by eye here. Alright, this is looking alright. We could tweak. Oh no, that's spazzing out on us. Alright, try that again. No, it's not liking it. But look, we've got ourselves a nice base here. So let's work with this. We'll just subdivide that just so it's a bit neater. And now if we drop both those splines into a connect, it'll treat it as one. So now we can drop that connect into an extrude object. So now by popping this connect object into an extrude, we can start to create some depth off that spline that we've created. Now look at that. That's looking pretty good. That's a nice base for us to work off there. Now let's grab this extrude. We're going to copy it and we're going to take it back into our cam model window here. We can just drop that in. I'm just going to pull it up. We can see we haven't quite worked at the same scale here, so we're just going to scale that down a bit. Toggle into our 4 views here. Again, hitting S will center that for us. I'm just going to rotate that around a bit. And now we can just start placing this precisely where we want it. So I just want it close to the edge of the cam, but not hard against. So I'm just moving that across. And now in our right view, we can see we're floating in the air. Let's pull that down so we're sitting nicely on the top of our can here. Beautiful. All right, that's looking nice. Now we're trying to do this quick. We're getting in dirty, but I just want to add a little bit more geometry to our ring pull here. So our extrude, we're going to drop that into a bool tool. I think that's how you say it, bool. So let's grab that, and I just want to create a bit of shape in the base of our ring pull. I'm going to do that by grabbing a cylinder, and then by making it face straight up and down, I can just pull that over with it in our bool. In that, being mindful to keep this hierarchy, we can now pop that cylinder beneath the extrude in the bool, and now exactly where I place it, we can get a nice little cut into our ring pull. So I don't want to go all the way through. I just want to create a bit of geometry at the base there. Now I want to copy and paste that cylinder that we've already set. And just by making it a bit smaller, this is going to be our little connector in the middle there. And I'm just going to put that on top. That can just hover there. Hitting NA will get rid of that view of our polygons. And look at that. That is a good looking can. Look at that. That was quick, easy. Couple little modeling tips. All right, I'm happy with that. Cheers, guys. All right, little bonus, little extra piece. I thought let's create some real simple textures, and I'll show you how we lit this thumbnail that you saw at the start here. In the color, I'm just going to make that 100% white. I'm going to add a Beckman to start with. Coming down to our layer Fresnel, just add a dielectric Fresnel. And then I'm just going to pull its strength down to about 50%. We'll come up to our roughness, and we can just dial this up. I think 15 would be a nice starting base for us. And I'm just going to use this one texture to light our entire can, our ring pull, the can top, and our can base. Nice. Really easy. Now let's edit the label that we added earlier. I'm just going to add a real simple Beckman into our reflectance with a dielectric Fresnel. We're just going to leave that all default, that's fine. All right, now you might have noticed in the thumbnail we had a bit of bend in the can top here, as if it had just been cracked. And I thought I'll show you how we can create that really easily. So let's start with the can top itself. I'm just going to hit C with that selected, and that's going to make that editable. Now, if I grab a bend deformer and make it a child of our can top and zero out its position, scale, rotation, I can now just dial up its strength. We can see we're not facing the right way here, so let's just rotate that around. Now we're getting some nice bend in the can top there. I'm just going to rotate that around so it's facing the camera a bit more. Now if I go back into our bend deformer, we can just say keep y-axis, and that'll just make sure it keeps the length that we've already got of our can top, and it won't go beyond that. Now I can just pull this bend over a bit, and we can see it's only affecting where we've got that bend. We can just pull it up. We can even get this bit of an angle as if someone's just ripped it out. Look at that. That's looking nice. Look at that, one deformer, and that's a good start for us. Now we're just going to do the exact same thing with our ring pull. By selecting everything, we're going to hit C, and that'll merge it into one. And you can see by doing that, our modeling axis is a bit off. So we need to fix that up. So come and toggle onto our modeling axis tool. We can just pull it up. And if we go into our 4 views, it'll make it a bit easier. We can see we just want this to be right in the middle of that base point. Hitting S will bring it in the middle of our display. We can just pull that up, and that looks good. And now by grabbing another bend deformer, making it a child of the ring pull and zeroing out its position, we can give it some strength, and then by just fixing it up with some rotation, we can see we've got some nice bend in the arc of the ring pull, as if someone's just hooked their finger underneath this. We can just slide this across a bit as well, just so it's only affecting the top part there. Again, if we go into the bend deformer itself, we can say keep y-axis, and that'll stop it from pushing beyond its geometry. We can really dial up the strength there. Someone's really hooked underneath this one, and that's looking pretty good. And we're just tweaking here now. We're just tightening it up. Maybe pull it over a little bit. We can always amend this stuff later. And now by grabbing both of these, I can now rotate them, and I can position this precisely where I want it to. The last thing I did for the thumbnail was grab the can top, come down to simulate cloth surface. We don't need any subdivision, so we can just zero that out. But I just gave it some thickness, just gave it a bit of an edge, something to catch some highlights. And we can see we're just getting a bit of intersecting with the ring pull. So I'm just going to rotate that around a bit. Move that back. Look, I think that's probably. I think you guys are getting the idea. You can see how easily that is to move. Put it precisely where we want it to, and now let's get everything going. Let's see this in all its glory. Get back to our camera, and look at that. That's not too bad. We can now that we've got it in shot, we can rotate it around a bit. All right, nice. You can see how easy that was to create a real custom look in our top there. We can really art direct the final image. And here's one that I'd prepared for the thumbnail, and you can see the only real difference here. I think I added some subdivisions to our ring pull just to get a bit of a smoother finish. I've got a real simple light setup, just a HDR Studio rig from Grayscale Gorilla. Now I can render that out, and that's looking nice. Real simple. We can take that into Photoshop, give that a few touch-ups. Real easy to achieve, just a couple of textures. And I hope you guys find a use for it, and hope you can take something away from it. All right, thanks, guys. And there we go. Just by looking at that, I feel warm already. All right, thanks, guys. Mal, let's get some soup.